Hello and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something different because I've been feeling the pull that we need more. And as a minister and a doctor of metaphysical sciences, my job is to teach. And the best way I do it is through storytelling. So today, that is what we're going to be doing instead of an oracle card draw. So let's get started, shall we? Have you ever had a moment where you felt completely alone in your journey? I had one of those days, and I went up the mountain, sat down, and said, "Spirit, we need to talk." And I meant it. I was frustrated. I felt unheard. I felt like everything was going wrong. Okay, to be honest, it was. And I honestly wondered if I had lost my connection. But what happened next changed everything. So today I want to tell you about the day I completely lost my composure and I yelled at my spirit guides. I called them out one by one, by name, halfway up a mountain. I'm laughing now about it, but in that moment, I was not laughing. I was convinced that they had abandoned me. Everything felt like it was going wrong. I felt unheard. I felt unsupported. And underneath all of that, I was terrified that I was alone. And part of that was conditioning, I guess you could call it, where we're told that if you're on a spiritual path, everything's blah, 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 woo, woo, and all that stuff. Well, it's not, And if by starting to tell these stories of what I've experienced, I can help just one person that is starting their spiritual path, or maybe is on it, but experiencing some similar things. So you can learn, and maybe you won't have to experience the trials and tribulations that I've gone through. But at the time that this happened, my job had just ended. That darn coyote showed up, and I knew things were not going to go well. And they weren't. I went into work that day, found out they were downsizing, and that was my last day of the job. And this was quite a few years ago, so I really wasn't into unemployment, didn't know about it, didn't know there were temp agencies and all this stuff that could help you find a job. I just knew all of a sudden my paycheck was gone. I wasn't getting any answers, no matter how I asked it, who I asked, which guide, I wasn't getting anywhere. So I was frustrated because I was in the process of also losing the place that I was living at. So what did I do? I did the mature thing. I hiked up McDowell Mountain out here in Fountain Hills in Arizona, and I called them out. Yeah. So what happened next still doesn't make any sense to me, but it did teach me something that I will never forget. I was sitting on a rock halfway up the mountain, crying and yelling at them. And the more I cried, the more I yelled, the more frustrated I got because I wasn't getting anywhere. I wasn't hearing anything. And I was so used to being able to hear them talk to me. And all of a sudden I heard, a voice say to walk farther up the mountain. And through my tears, I was thinking, how is walking farther up the mountain going to solve anything? But I listened, and I got off the rock and headed back to the trail. Now, I saw right before I got to the trail this swirling energy on the ground. And as any sane person would do, I walked right into it instead of around it. Well, not the smartest of moves, I can tell you. Now, I still don't know what happened when I walked into that swirling thing, circle of energy on the ground. Don't know where I went. Don't know what was told to me. The only thing I do know is when I came back, I was farther up the mountain, laying on my back in extreme pain. My knees and the palms of both hands were totally embedded with pebbles because the trail was one of those where it has lots of rocks on it. But yet I was laying on my back. So I know when I came down from wherever the heck it was, I landed on my knees and my hands. And then the force must have tipped me over. And so I say I assume that because I don't remember. I don't remember anything about what happened after I walked into that swirl of energy. So talk about being freaked out and questioning my sanity. So after I got all the pebbles out of my knees and hands and made sure nothing was broken, I headed back down the mountain to my car, and so I could go home and call my mentor, Serge, and tell him what happened. I didn't get exactly the response that I was expecting. After the look of shock came off his face and him repeating, "You did what?" several times, I got a lecture that I'll never forget. The gist of it was, don't ever go up a mountain and call out your guides and yell at them. Turns out that's a pretty big no-no. But what he did do, after he stopped laughing, of course, was he made me go back up the mountain to that same spot and apologize to them and ask them for forgiveness. To this day, like I said, this happened many years ago. I still don't know what happened, but things did start to shift a bit. They didn't shift overnight, but it was a gradual shift. I did find another place to live. I did end up getting a different type of job in a spiritual bookstore, doing readings and healing work. So it got me out of more of the corporate environment and more aligned spiritually. So the whole thing is, even if you are on a spiritual path and you think you are doing everything correctly, the ego can come in one fell swoop and knock you out, literally. So I can honestly tell you, even though I still get upset sometimes with my guides, I have never, ever done that again. So if telling this story can help just one person on their spiritual path from experiencing something similar, it's worth telling. So if you're in a season where spirit feels silent, before you hike up a mountain and start yelling, let's get grounded first. I want you to sit comfortably wherever you are. Place both feet on the floor. If you happen to be outside when you're watching this, put your feet on the ground, even better. And if it's warm enough, take your shoes and socks off and literally put your feet on Mother Earth. Take one slow breath in through your nose and let it go gently through your mouth. Again, inhale and release. If you're feeling abandoned, unheard, or disconnected right now, just notice that feeling without judging it. Now bring your awareness to your body. Feel your feet. Feel the chair beneath you. Feel the steadiness of the ground supporting you. You are not floating. You are not untethered. You are supported. Now imagine roots extending from the bottoms of your feet, moving down into the earth. Deep, steady, secure. You don't have to demand answers, and you don't have to force guidance. You can simply say quietly, if I'm not hearing you, help me understand what I need to strengthen. Take one more deep, slow breath. And remember, silence is not abandonment. Sometimes it's preparation. If this resonated with you and you're walking your own path of spiritual growth, subscribe and join me, and we'll walk it grounded. And always remember to walk in beauty, my friends. This is Reverend Dr. Elena Skyhawk with a new thing for Sunday that we're going to try for a little while. I hope you subscribe and join and like the videos and share them so that as a community we can grow spiritual, like-minded people so that we know we have somebody to turn to if we need to talk. And I'd like to know your experience. If you've ever experienced something similar or even a little bit different, put it in the comments. If you have questions about something that might have happened and what it means, and you're still not getting the answers, put it in the comments and we'll look at it together and go from there. And in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday, rest of the week. Today is March 1st, so hey, it's moving pretty quickly and it's kind of hard to believe March is here. And we will see you next Sunday for another story and lesson on probably what not to do, because that seems to be me. So I do it so you don't have to. That's the way I look at it. So enjoy the rest of your week. Bye for now.